another episode of Megabuild Survival with me, the Maximus JK, and in our last episode we worked on building out the walls of this cathedral. I'm starting to notice an issue and I wonder if you guys notice it too. I'm finding that the build is starting to look a little too monochromatic, especially with this roof down here. I added it last episode and I really liked it, but now that I added the walls, it's detracting from the central wall here. So I think I want to replace this with mud. However, I would like to keep the same patterns. I'm going to think about working on gradients that would fit into these walls down here. But in the meantime, I've been working on some other things around the base. We recently added this concrete storage system right into the base, but I made a little addition in between episodes that I wanted to show you guys. Right here is a way to sort items that go all the way back to the starter system over there. I have items that I can put in to the system. It is a trap chest, so it won't take out my items until I let go. It fires that item into a water stream that goes all the way through, ready to be sorted all again. Each of these is exactly the same and can sort all our items. So let's say I get a whole bunch of things from crafting and I'm done. I can just plop it in here, boom, and it goes right back to the sorter. Also, a thing you can see is I started doing decorations here on the main storage categorizer. I have alternating sections with either stone cutters or ender chests, and then crafting tables right up here, as well as putting anvils here in case we need to rename or do anything with items. This storage is definitely coming along and it's in a much better place than it was a few episodes ago. I always like to improve it, so I'm definitely not going to be done with it, but I think it's good for right now. I mocked up a simple gradient here that will transform the second roof on the cathedral that's all the way up there. For this gradient, I mocked out a little section here, which should give us an idea of how to set this up. Bricks instead of blackstone, polished granite instead of deep slate bricks, exposed copper instead of cobbled deep slate, granite instead of cobblestone, jungle planks instead of andesite, mud bricks instead of stone. Hopefully that should be enough of a transformation that stops the intense monochromatic issues that I was having with the cathedral. Hey, there's actually a crack here. That's pretty cool. And with the simple jump, it is transformed. I started working on this and I don't know if it's going in a right direction. Let me keep going and see if it ends up all right. Wow, this is totally not it. Even if the copper oxidized, which it's starting to do like right over here, this is still way too vibrant for this kind of dull toned roof. I'm not liking this at all. I'm wondering if the patterns are just still way too much for this build. I'm not even sure what I'm really doing anymore. It's just too busy maybe? I'm not sure. I think I'm gonna have to fiddle around with it. And boom! Hey, come closer. I don't know. This is looking pretty terrible. You gotta start from scratch here. You should go back to a creative world and test things out. Wow, a little rude, but I think I have an idea. If we grow some jungle saplings, and now we need to turn these jungle trees into jungle trapdoors. I just cut down all the trees and now I got some jungle trapdoors. I believe I have all the materials I need. I have mud from the mud cube and I smelted up a ton of smooth basalt when I had to make the walls for the cathedral. And now for the finished product. What just happened? Oh yeah, I'm in an ancient city. Surprisingly, I haven't gotten Swift Sneak yet on my boots here. I've seen people raid these things 1,000 times, so I'm gonna quickly grab some stuff, but I'm just here quickly for the loot, get out, and then that's it. Grab some of the loot. No. Hey, awesome. Well, I kind of got what I came here for, so I think it's time to hop back and show off the finished roof. Look, I know it's a little boring. I think it worked really good in the broader context of the cathedral in general. When looking at it from faraway angles, this fits in way more than these pointed lines, and we can use some other decoration around the other areas and walls that this cathedral will have. Remember, this is only one section of the cathedral. I used pretty similar shapes and patterns that I did up at the roof, and I used mud bricks and then the jungle trapdoors with the smooth basalt right underneath it. I kind of like that it has a little bit of depth and a little bit of flavor to it and isn't super duper flat. Hey guy, what you trading? Junk. One of the things you may have noticed since the last clip is that I actually went to the copper farm and got a bunch of copper and a bunch of levels. This is what I need to get the Swift Sneak onto my pants. Whoa, that is way faster. I don't know if you can tell it on the video, but this is gonna be such a monumental change. Wow, I gotta get used to this. So with my new Swift Sneak pants, gotta get working on transforming the rest of these roofs into the new designs, and then we can work on one of the major projects of this episode. Look at how this wandering trader spawned. So weird. I'm in the bottom of the massive pit in the center of the cathedral, and you can start to see that it's really looking pretty intense from all the way at the bottom. I've teased this before what I want to do. I decided I want to put a bamboo farm right at the bottom of the cathedral in order to power all our smelters that I'm going to put somewhere else. I'm removing one layer from below this area just because this pattern would require another layer of basalt there, and it just makes more sense in my mind if the floor starts at the basalt layer. I may have to remove another layer just to fit the minecarts and all the redstone underneath, but that's something I'm going to deal with at another date. I was thinking of potential design ideas, and I had an aha moment. What if we covered this whole bamboo farm in water to make it look like a pond? You know when you're swimming and you have that feeling of some piece of nature hitting the bottom of your foot? I kind of think I can make that design with the bamboo. I kind of ran into a problem with the water idea, and I am thinking of ideas and solutions to solve this issue. If we hop in the door right here, we enter into my test world. This is my test world that I've had for many years now, and you can see a ton of little concept and ideas. I built up this tank here, which will kind of be the design that I'm thinking about for this pond thing, and you can see the bamboo underneath this layered glass effect, which kind of looks like water. Additionally, if you have some glow squids, it can look really, really cool because there's layers of glass, and then in between those layers of glass is water. The issue that I'm facing becomes very apparent once you go underneath the surface. You can see that if there's no light, bamboo does not grow. I built these walls out of frog lights, and that grows totally fine, but once it gets past 4 or 5 layers, it does not grow at all, and this tank is way smaller than the pond I'm thinking about building. My options are to either build out light pillars from in the center of this farm, or split it up by adding light walls in between. I'm not really sure what's the best way to go about fixing this issue, but I think it looks really, really cool. I got some glow squids to spawn here, and you can even walk over top of it. It's a really cool concept I'm excited to bring to the cathedral. While we're in the test world, I want to show you guys my tier list of all the blocks in the game, as well as seeing if any of you guys recognize what this build is. Let me know in the comments what you think this build is. Notice the heart-shaped glass over here and this little creature right here. I really like this pond concept, and I'm really excited to play around with it a little bit more. But this is the concept that I'm gonna go for, and I think it's time to head back to the cathedral and start working on it. We haven't been here in a while. We're back at the starter village to run the rail duper in order to get all the rails for the collection system for the bamboo farm. Here, all I have to do is press this button, the rails are going to start duping, and I want to get about a shulker box or 2 of each rail type, of powered rails and normal rails. So I'll AFK here and be back once we have enough rails. It's been a few hours since the last clip, but I installed the rails all the way underneath the pond here. It's a lot of rails, including all the redstone blocks. And I also set up all the beacons and the colors, so all the pillars are now officially in place and looking really, really cool. It took a long time to set up all these rails, but I think in the end, it's gonna be a great collection system and way more bamboo than we will ever need. I think we're gonna put the verdant frog light as the wall here. I downloaded the schematic for the Minecart unloader system here, which is designed by Mango, which is a really cool design where it dumps all the bamboo into a water stream and will have one massive water stream of bamboo and then send the minecart all the way back along. I also set up the rails where they'll go around the pillars, but it will be able to get this no man's land, which is in between the pillars, which we can have some piston extenders push out from the side. Hey, look at this. I was looking for this potato. So I think the next thing I want to do is build up this whole row of all these unloaders. You do need a wither skeleton skull for each unloader. I can use amethyst clusters, but I actually have the wither skeleton farm, so I should have more than enough skulls on hand. And each of these cauldrons need to be filled up with lava, so that's going to be a bunch of buckets that I have to collect from the nether. All the loaders are now done, and they kick all these items into a unset up water stream all the way in the back. And for some reason, there is a chicken egg in here. And I hooked it up to this lever right here. So all the carts will speed away, and we'll pick up all the future bamboo in one session. An issue I'm having is that because this area is so big, the carts eventually get unloaded and stop moving when they get to the other side. That's why I have to trigger the system, run to the center, and then run back, kind of following the carts to make sure that they don't get unloaded. This has become kind of a common theme with this whole entire system with the sorters and the shulker unloaders, is that these things need to be constantly loaded before they break. Redstone that is unloaded can sometimes break, especially when you have entities moving. And since the system is a little bit finicky, I want to make sure that it's fully set up for success in the long run. So I think we're going to have to set up a chunk loading grid underneath this whole base. If we go into this little nook, I set up a ladder, which brings us all the way down to the bottom of the world. If we hop into free cam mode as we descend through the ladder, I mapped out the area which I think will be needed for chunk loading. It's pretty big. These are the coordinates, so it's about 300 by 200. And I think it's about 12 chunks this way and 15 to 18 chunks this way. The way that chunk loading works is that entities are processed in a 3x3 grid of an active portal for 10 seconds after an entity or item goes through a portal. So if we constantly send items back and forth through a portal, this area will be loaded anywhere. So I can be at Aeaea, the storage room, at the raid farm, and I can always be sorting. But there's a problem, of course, is I need to get rid of all this deep slate. I don't really need to get rid of all of it, but I think for a chunk loading grid, it might be easier to visualize and set up if I clear out this whole area. And how hard could that really be, especially when you have TNT? I got some TNT here, and I think I'm gonna have to blow out this entire area, which might take a second, or it might take no seconds. I really have no idea. So I think we're gonna have to hit time-lapse mode to start blowing up this whole area. And I'll see you guys once we finish cleaning out the full chunk loading grid. That was way longer than I expected. That time-lapse took 1 hour, and we still have to go through this entire area. There's so much here that I don't think it's possible to do this all manually by just TNT. So I think we gotta start thinking about alternatives. And the alternative is a tunnel bore. This tunnel design is by Borcon. I will link them in the video description. It seems like a great design, and I've already tested it in creative, so it should give us the results we want. And it will basically use dupe TNT to shoot forward and bust through all these layers of deep slate. Unfortunately, it does require ancient debris, but on a stream off camera, I actually mined some ancient debris and got enough for all the TNT dupers here. The reason that we need all this ancient debris is because ancient debris has a property that no other block has, where it can be moved by a piston. However, it is still blast resistant enough to support a TNT blast. So this block is perfect, so we will dupe the TNT, and it'll go on top of this ancient debris, and then the entire machine will get moved up by 1. So I think that's kind of what I'm about to do here. I'm gonna have to build up these tunnel bores. I really hope it doesn't explode. I built up all these tunnel bores that you see behind me, and I'm now ready to prime them with TNT and test it to see whether it works. From my understanding is if I get the TNT and place it here, now that all the TNT is in, I think we're ready to prime the system. I've already accidentally triggered this system in the back here, which pushes the entire machine forward. So I know that it works in concept, but hopefully this thing does not explode. I've made a backup just in case. So if we hit this note block here, all these TNT things should be moved on top of this wall. There should be a minecart there. Just want to double check. These did not move forward. Hold on. What? Right, these are not lined up. Uh-oh. Something went wrong. All right, hold on. And now here's a montage of me making confidently incorrect statements about the machine. What we have to do is place TNT over these observers. And now this module is primed. And I believe that this should not explode. We should be good here. I hope this does not update this block and it blows up. Oh no. Do I have to rethink this? Okay. Actually went back and figured this out, and I was doing this entirely wrong. So what we actually have to do is get rid of this, get rid of the minecart, then we put in the coral fan, then we put in the slime block, and then if we power this, it will not explode and is perfectly in place. So I'm gonna have to prep that for all of these other modules, and then I'm gonna take another backup, and we should be ready to click the button. There's no better time than now to hit the button, and let's see if this blows everything up. Oh! Yes! I'm gonna go and check out all the machines to make sure that they worked correctly, but I think that it's time to hit time-lapse mode and clear out the rest of this area. I don't know if it came across in the video, but that was extremely painful. Every time you wanted to move the machine forward, you had to clear out lava pockets and gravel pockets, and sometimes the machine would break over and over and over again. But it's done. It's complete. I hate you. The next thing I want to do is start to organize and label some of these chunk loaders. I've actually built a red wool line all around this area, which signifies the outside area of the chunk loading grid. Everything inside that will be chunk loaded. So if we turn on our chunk borders here, we can see that the border lines up just on the outside of these chunks. Now the way chunk loaders work is that it uses a 3 chunk by 3 chunk border. And so my plan is to build out each of those sections with a colored wool. If we build out one of these sections here, that's 2 chunks, and this is 3 chunks, we can start to organize this and give a better idea of what the chunk loading grid looks like. I'm going to start color coding these chunk boundaries in order to get a better idea of how we're going to organize these chunk loaders, and I'll be back with you guys once this is all complete. I got all these chunks organized and color coded. It's a little hard to fly around here, but I think the next step is to set up the chunk loaders. I'm going to try to put in the center chunk. I brought down some obsidian as well as some other materials here. And I think we're going to take the center chunk, build out a portal, and from there, we're going to set up all the portals, and then we'll have to go to the nether side, make sure all these portals link up. All the portals have been set up underground, and we have 24 of them, 4 by 6. And now I want to show you guys the area in the nether that I set up for the other side of the portals. So if we head to the nether, this is the nether area that I set up, where I took all the chords of those portals and divided them by 8 and created this chunk grid here. So I'm going to build out these portals right here and light them, and hopefully they start connecting. So now that these portals are done, I think we want to light them up. Now that all the portals are lit, I'm going to have to go through each portal and check to make sure that it is connecting to the other one on the other side. 1 down, 23 to go. I set up fires underneath all these portals in order to break the minecart that comes in from the chunk loader. I made some boxes here with enough materials to get all these chunk loaders going on the nether side. I think I'm gonna have it loaded in the nether instead of loading here, just to remove entities and lag from the cathedral itself. And if I can have most of the entities in the nether, I feel like that would be a little bit more advantageous for lag. This is a chunk loader designed by Dark, and basically the minecart goes through the portal, breaks on the fire, and comes back as an item into this hopper minecart that then gets fed back into the dispenser, which is powered by this redstone torch and by this detector rail. So the detector rail unpowers the torch, and then it eventually just keeps cycling through. So I finished this one, and now I'm going to implement them for the rest of the chunk loaders. They're pretty easy to set up, and it's a really nice design by Dark. I'll see you guys once I'm fully chunk loaded. I finished all these chunk loaders and added an eerie note block, and I really like the way that this thing turned out. It definitely increased the MSBT on the server, but it's still under 50, so there's no lag just yet. Maybe if we keep adding more machines and crazy things to the Megabuild, then it'll eventually become unplayable, which I think would be an accomplishment. Now that the chunk loaders are chunk loading, I think it's a great time to head back to the bamboo farm. I've made a few modifications to the bamboo farm, so I'm excited to show you guys what I got. Back in the cathedral, and I made some adjustments to the lake here. I decided to go with the frog light walls as my solution for the bamboo not being lit up correctly. I figured out that this was the most optimal way of spacing out these frog light walls because I used this light matica overlay, which shows you all the light levels in which is spawnable. There's actually a really cool setting in Litematica that is the light level threshold. You can change this to show up which is the spawnable blocks. So I set it on 9 because bamboo needs 9 to spawn, and this is so perfect because even if I remove one block, there will be one block that does not spawn bamboo. One of the things that I prototyped here was the flying machines. This is a design by Ilmango. Generally, this is a normal slime machine engine, but I saw in one of his videos that he had this piston observer combo, a way easier way of triggering the slime machine to return. So if you flick this trapdoor, it goes there and bounces back, ready to be parked again. I figured out that my path is going to be 2 slime machines that push out from these little indents, and then we're going to have smaller flying machines coming vertically, and then the big flying machines coming down these 2 middle lanes. I'm gonna get working on that, so I'll see you guys once it's done. I got all the flying machines set up and the logic in place to get them running so they don't collide into each other. I included this counting circuit that counts twice when this observer gets triggered. So we're gonna first send the vertical long slime blocks all the way down and then do the side ones at the end. So this is the same counting circuit that I have in the mud cube that counts 2 updates of this observer and then puts a monostable output circuit to these rail lines. I use rails instead of redstone just because they're a little less laggy, and I think this is going to be laggy farm. So any way to remove the lag I think will be a really good idea. So what I'm going to do is hit this lever, and then you're going to see the slime machines in action. You can see that the long boy slime machines go out first, getting majority of the bamboo in the farm. Then the side bamboo flying machines kick out and get the remainder that will be left in those indents. So what's next? I think we need to add grass. Then we gotta go from grass to bamboo. And now with the bamboo inside the farm, I can say that the technical side of this project is now totally done. And with that, the project's done. This thing is looking absolutely awesome, and I think it'll be more than enough bamboo to power our farms. I think we actually ran out of time in this episode to decorate this farm. This has been a massive grind, and the episode length is getting a little long. We're gonna build out the lake decorations in the next episode, as well as potentially adding a waterfall here, blending this into a more organic lake shape, and building out the smelter array somewhere, either here or up there. One thing I said is that I figured out a trick to get rid of these frog-light lines, so my plan is to put a moss block and then a bamboo that will grow at 2 height, and once it grows naturally, it will have some of those off-petal things, so hopefully it'll make those lines totally disappear. Alright, look, it's not totally perfect, but it might be the best I can do. But it's definitely better than having the frog-light walls there, and if you don't really notice it and you're looking around, hopefully you won't really see it. Plus, once we add more layers of fog and glass, hopefully it kind of disappears into the background. If you have a better idea, please let me know in the comments. And speaking of comments, I just want to thank everyone who's been commenting and supporting the channel. It's really blown up recently, and I just want to thank everyone, especially with the 500 subscriber milestone we just hit. It was one of my goals this year to hit 500 subs, so I want to thank every single one of you guys. Another thing I want to mention is that I've started to occasionally live stream on this channel, so if you ever catch a live stream, stop in and say hello. But with that, I think we're going to have to end the episode here. It's been a pretty crazy episode working on the bamboo farm as well as the chunk loader and the roof on the cathedral. But before you guys go, I want to give one final update on a major project in this world. We haven't been here in a while. That's right, I've been working on Aeaea off camera, which is my Guardian Farm Megabuild. It's getting pretty close to complete. All these spikes are very close to being done. This central hallway right here is almost done, and we just need the final point of the roof. We still have a little bit more to go, but it is definitely coming along. My goal is to finish this before the next episode, which is going to be a world tour. I'm going to bring on a special guest, and we're going to tour the entirety of this server as well as a world download. So stay tuned for that. I do have to admit that I have been using the autoplace feature as a part of Litematica. It's really helped me on building out this build and has saved a bunch of time. So with that, I'm going to get back to work on Aeaea, and I'll see you guys in the next episode. Peace!